So I go back inside the building and into that room. I don't see my girlfriend. I don't see my future wife. She's in the back. I'm shaking right now. And I tell the lady at the counter, where's the woman that I was sitting with? Oh, she's in the back. I said, call her out right now. And she's asking me why. I said, call her out right now. She said, what's the problem? I said, this is a abortion clinic. Call her out right now. And there was a lot of women in the room. But I didn't catch it at first. Each woman that I saw come in, they came in with someone. And they weren't happy, they weren't smiling. But I didn't catch it at first. I was just trying to figure out while I was sitting in that room, why was it so dark to me? So they seen how loud I was getting inside that room. So they told my wife at the time, my girlfriend at the time, that she needed to leave. I was making a scene in there. I was fighting for my son. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. She ended up having my son Josiah. When he came home that night, things was happening to my son where he couldn't swallow. Didn't know why he was spitting up milk. So we rushed him to the emergency room. He wasn't eating all day, just spitting up milk. And he had some type of lung problem, some type of disease. I can't remember the name of it. Well, they had to fly him in a helicopter to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. I'm shook up right now. Well, he was in Johns Hopkins for, I think, 2 weeks, and then they transferred him to another hospital, a local one. It's like a rehab for babies that have issues, like they're not born developed all the way. So he had to stay there for a month. I'm still in the Christian church, still going to Sunday worship. They released my son. And that following Sunday, we go back to church. But before that, the church gave us a prayer cloth with oil on it. And they told me to keep that prayer cloth right beside my son while he was in the hospital. So I always kept that prayer cloth there. So we went back to church that Sunday, brought my son, and the pastor and his wife. They knew this was the son that everybody was praying for. So we sat in the front, and immediately they stopped service. They wanted to see the baby. Well, service continued, and while I'm sitting in the front, there's a plaque of the 10 Commandments there. So I started reading the 10 Commandments. And when I got to the 4th commandment, it said observe the Sabbath day. And as soon as I read it, the Most High tells me, now that you know, don't come back. That was the last day that I was in that church 3 years ago. At the same time, I'm still listening to Elder Ayel. He coming on every Saturday. Also, I started listening to a guy named Jimmy Williams. they were doing Sabbath also, and they had a guest speaker. His name was Dana Stevens. And Mr. Dana Stevens, he's a Gentile, and he was coming to Baltimore to a church called the Ark of Israel down in Southern Maryland. So I packed up my wife and kids and we went there, but he didn't show up that day. I didn't know that it was canceled. So I started attending Sabbath day at a church called the Ark of Israel before they closed the doors. Went there maybe 3 months. But every time church was over on the Sabbath day, I always had Elder Ayel in my ears. He was loud, goofy, made me laugh, and was really, really teaching me the Bible. So I listened to him for 2 years, every Sabbath day. And one particular day, I asked the Most High, I'm still bored. I have all these books, but I'm still bored. I want to know more. I want to know more knowledge. Give me more wisdom. Give me a book that no one has. Give me a book that I'm looking for that can't be found. Well, I get this call from a woman, her air conditioning is broken. And I go to service her air conditioning. In every customer's house you go into, you want to find something in their house to start a conversation with. Well, when I walked in, on her table, she had a lot of Bibles, and she was a Bible reader. And that was the conversation starter right there for me. She was a Mormon. And by me listening to the camp doctrine on the streets, I remembered those brothers talking about the Book of Mormon, that it wasn't our book. Stay away from the book. So I had that mindset in my mind when I was in her house. So we sat down and we talked for about 2 hours. I couldn't fix her air conditioning unit at the time. I had to come back the next day with a part. So I came back the next day with the part, fixed the air conditioning unit, and for some reason I didn't have another call after that. So we sat down again for another 3 hours. She's a talker. She's trying to get me into this Mormon religion. So I'm like, hold on, let me go get my Bible. I'm about to use my Bible to tear down this Book of Mormon. So I go get my Bible, I come back inside, and I'm reading precept upon precept, something that she didn't know what a precept was, or how to read a Bible, precept upon precept. You see, I was taught by Elder Ayel watching his videos. I'm acting just like him, I know these scriptures, she don't know these scriptures I know. I kind of was offending her a little bit. She closed the Book of Mormon. And I heard that voice again. Close your book and listen. And I questioned the Most High. I said, why? Why, Most High? I don't know that book. He said, listen. Close your book and listen. So I closed the Bible. I had to say something to this customer to make her open up that Book of Mormon again. So I asked her, open the book back up. Read to me what you just read. Then she had this big smile on her face. So she started reading me about Helaman and Alma and Nephi. So I started asking her questions. who are you in the Book of Mormon? And she told me she was a Lamanite. And I'm like, what is that? She just said a tribe. I didn't understand that at that time. Well, anyway, like I said, we talked for like 2-3 hours. She paid me for the work that I did. And I said thank you and goodbye. And I proceeded to get inside my work van. But I didn't know that she was following me. She walked right behind me, and she had her hands behind her back. And for some reason, she was in tears. And I said, what's going on? What's the matter? And she said, nothing. She said, the Holy Spirit want me to give you something. And I said, what is that? And she said, I want to give you this Book of Mormon. I said, I really don't want that Book of Mormon. I don't know anything about that book. She said, I really think that you should have this book. She said, the Holy Spirit is telling me that you need this book. And she said, I'm not going to let you go unless you take this book. She was in tears. So I took the book, and I didn't know that she had wrote some scriptures in a piece of paper, and she slipped it in the book, and she gave it to me. And she said, promise me that you'll read this book. And she said, email me. She left her email number. She said, email me your precepts. Anything that you got, email me precepts. She said, I like the way you read the Bible. She said, this book here, she said, you're going to love this book. I said, okay. So I left. And when I left, I threw the book down on the floor of my work truck. So I went to work every day, off and on. And it seemed like this Book of Mormon was just in my way. Every day I look at it. I would be looking for tools in my truck and the books in my way. I would throw it on top of the dashboard. It's in my way of the dashboard. Every time I turn, the book would slide this way, slide that way. I would sit it in the chair, throw it back on the floor. It's dusty at this time. One night, I'm listening to Big Judah. And he brings some scriptures out of the Book of Mormon. And I understood the scriptures that he was bringing out. And I was like, damn, I got that book right outside of my van. So that's when I brought it in the house. Started reading it. The Sabbath day is coming up. I'm at the house with the kids babysitting. I got the Book of Mormon. I'm about to start reading it. The next thing I hear the loud voice again from the Most High. And the Most High tells me, pray to me. I'm like, huh? He says, pray to me. Pray to me now. It scared me. I put my son in the car seat, strap him down. I get on my hands and knees. What do I say, Most High? Why you want me to pray? What's going on? I'm scared. With a calm voice, he said, pray to me now. Just pray. I had just bought my son, my oldest son, his first car. $6,000 cash. Toyota Corolla. No, the Camry. The Toyota Camry. I didn't know he was smoking weed in the car driving. So while I'm praying, My phone rings. I don't answer it because I'm praying. It rings again and again and again. I'm on my hands and knees and I don't know why I'm praying. So I ended my prayer. And I picked up my phone and I have 8, 10 missed calls from my son and also my mother. And my mother texts me that your son's been in an accident. So I called my son. He's not picking up his phone. I'm scared. I didn't understand why the Most High wanted me to pray. And he yelled at me, pray. Pray to me now. When my son ended up calling me, I answered it. Told me he'd been in an accident. He's okay. Totaled the car. Damaged pretty good. He told me he got a ride home. His best friend's gonna pick him up and take him home. The tow truck is on its way to take the car to the shop or whatever. But God's been talking to me for a long time. Ever since I had that video of that woman and her child standing in Israel, in Jerusalem, behind some mountains. And she said, you black people in America, you don't know who you are. You're Yahweh's children. And you need to come back home and save us. Also, I can tell you guys how God laughs. I can tell you how the Most High laughs. I can imitate it. Let me clear my throat. I'm going to show you how the Most High laughs. He goes, when he laughs, it makes me laugh. Sounds like he's got an old man laugh. He's the Ancient of Days. I love the way he laughs. I love the way he talks to me. I love the way he warns me before things happen. I love the way he gives me knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I love the Most High. He speaks to me. He laughs with me. I actually have a one-on-one conversation with him. But for some reason this week, me reading the Bible or the second stick, he wasn't revealing any information to me this week. He wanted to tell my story, my awakening. He wanted me to tell y'all his voice, his laughter. That's what he wanted me to tell y'all. Well, anyway, I'm at 52 minutes. There's more I gotta tell you. There's more that I want to tell you guys, but I'm not much of a talker. Well, anyway, if you guys have your sealed portion, we're gonna be in chapter 41. And we're gonna start at verse 71. Bear with me. Chapter 41, verse 71. And it came to pass that while they were thus conversing, Salakia, one with another, they heard a voice as if it came out of heaven, and they cast their eyes round about, for they understood not the voice which they heard. And it was not a harsh voice, neither was it a loud voice. Nevertheless, notwithstanding it being a small voice, it did pierce them that did hear to the center, insomuch that there was no part of their frame that it did not cause to quake. Yea, it did pierce them to the very soul, and did cause their hearts to burn. Verse 72. And it came to pass that again they heard the voice, and they understood it not. Just like me, I didn't understand that voice. And again the third time they did hear the voice, and did open their ears to hear it, and their eyes were towards the sound thereof, and they did look steadfastly towards heaven, from whence the sound came. And behold, the third time they did understand the voice which they heard, and it said unto them, Behold, my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, in whom I have glorified my name. Hear ye him. And now I, Moroni, give unto you an explanation of these things. For behold, whose voice did the people hear that testified unto them of his Son? Was it not the voice of the Father? Was it not the voice of the Father? And why is it that they did not understand this voice when it was given unto them the first time? I didn't understand the Most High's voice the first time. And even a second time it was given unto them, that they did not understand it. And this voice was given unto them by their loving Father in heaven, who loveth them all, and desired to give unto all his children his words by his own mouth. And the voice of the Father is not harsh, is not a harsh voice, like the voice of a prophet at times, neither is it a loud voice, with which a prophet at times doeth proclaim his message and teacheth repentance. But it was a small voice that did pierce them that did hear to the center, insomuch that there was no part of their frame that it did not cause to quake. Yea, it did pierce them to the very soul, and it caused their hearts to burn. I just wanted to bring that out. That I heard the voice of the Most High. We spoke, we laughed, and I cried. You see, when I was blessing people, the Most High, He asked me. It was at the end of the week. I remember it. I'm not going to forget it. He asked me one time, did I believe? I said no. The following week, he asked me, do you believe? I said, I don't know. And that third week, he asked me again, at the end of the week, do you believe? And I said, yes. You see, each time that I bless one of my people, the Most High was giving me blessings that I couldn't explain. When I gave away $500, he was giving me back $10,000. And my wife, she was upset that I was giving away money. And she didn't believe me that these things was happening to me. So one day I was taking her to go pay her rent. It was a Saturday, Sabbath day. And there was a kid standing in the street cleaning windows. I blew the horn to signal him to come so I can give him some money. but my light turned green, so I had to go and pay the bill for her. So on the way back, I told her, I said, I'm gonna bless this boy. And I said, you give me 5 minutes, my phone's gonna ring and there's gonna be money coming to my phone. And she didn't believe me. So when we came to the light, I blew my horn. I signaled for the boy to come to me because I missed him previously. And I was praying in my mind that he wouldn't get hit by a car. He's about 6, 7 years old. Well, he made it to my vehicle and I gave him $50. And he couldn't believe that I gave him $50. He had the biggest smile on his face. And I prayed in my mind that he would cross that street without getting hit by a car. He ran home so fast. Before we make it to the next light, an email alert came to my phone. And I told my wife to pick up my phone. And I told her, that's money. And she didn't believe me. She picked up the phone, and it was a job approved for $5,000. And she couldn't believe it. Well, anyway, I've been talking for an hour. Y'all stay tuned for the Sabbath day. Stay tuned. Y'all take care. I love you, both Jews and Gentiles. Goodbye.